Session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called to order. I call upon Representative Makepeace for the prayer.
Gracious Father, help us with this new day. Help us that each thought, action, and word may be kept in your will. Help us that this may be a safe and productive session, and help us to follow your will to the end of time. Amen.
I'd like to call on Representative Bloss for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light
I'd like to call upon Representative Felisan for the Guam hymn.
Fanogi Chamoru.
I'd like to call upon Representative Lorenzo for the Inifresi.
Inifresi.
Thank you. You may be seated. Can I get a roll call?
Representative Angara. Representative Blas. Representative Blas present. Representative Casilla. Representative Cruz, Representative Dichoso, Representative Felisan, Representative Felisan, present. Representative Lebang, Representative Lebang, present. Representative Lorenzo, Representative Lorenzo, present. Representative Makepeace, Representative Makepeace, present. Representative McDonald, Kendra, Representative McDonald, Kenny, Representative Quintanilla, Representative Quintanilla, present. Representative Richards, Representative Richards, present. Representative Rigetti, Speaker Santos, Speaker Santos, present. Representative Tamagan, Representative Valencia, Representative Valencia, present. Mr. Speaker, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to call for approval of the Legislative Journal. Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. But before we do that, I move that members not present be excused.
There's been a motion to excuse members not present today. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move to waive legislative items 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 from today's legislative session agenda.
There's been a motion to waive items 7 through 11 of the agenda today. Is there anyone objecting? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Valencia. Moving on to item 12, introduction and first reading of bills and resolutions. Can I get the first reading?
Bill number 23-31, introduced by L. Elwood C. Lebang, an act to amend section 7111 of chapter 7, title 2, Guam Code annotated, relative to the Excellence in Youth Leadership Award. Resolution number 17-31, introduced by Al Elwood C. Lebang, Javins W. Santos, and Joseph Casilla, relative to urging the University of Guam UOG Board of Regents to take action regarding the UOG presidential search.
Thank you. Moving on to motions. Are there any motions? Representative Lebang, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move to place Bill 23-31 to second reading file.
There's been a motion to place Bill 23-31 into second reading file. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Representative Lebang, you can make your opening statements.
Mr. Speaker, the point of this bill is to, instead of giving the award quarterly, is to move it to yearly basis. Because I believe with the time frame we have in a quarter is we only meet 3 times. And I think that if we move it to yearly, then we will have more time to see the application process for this award, and I think that will give us more time to choose the best leaders we have on this island, best youth leaders we have on this island. With this bill, I kind of overlook, I have an amendment to propose to add a new section 3. Because on section 7112 of the same chapter and same title, it also mentioned that we cannot give more than 3 awards per quarter. So since we're changing it to a yearly basis, I'm moving it to 12 per year, no more than 12 per year. That's the amendment.
So this is an amendment in section 7112
Yes.
to change.
To add that, it's not. I'm just striking out the no more than 3 awards per year, and instead just reflect no more than 12 awards per year.
Okay. So the amendment is changing 3 quarterly to 12 yearly.
Yes.
Okay. So there's an amendment to Bill 23-31. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on the amendment? Representative Quintanilla, you're recognized.
I'd just like to pose a question.
To the sponsor? To the
Yes.
author? Representative LeBang, do you yield?
What month is Youth Month?
I'm sorry.
What month is Youth Month?
Sorry.
What month is Youth Month?
Oh, Youth Month, April.
Okay, because you didn't specify in your bill, so I had no idea what you were talking about. That's all.
I think we can give it any time in the year because the thing is the law just give us quarterly, and like if we're changing it yearly, we have more leeway on when we can give it.
I don't think the bill or the Excellence in Youth Leadership Award specifically mentions that it's that this award is meant to be given in Youth Month.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's an amendment that you're interested in.
Oh, I thought that was, I just thought that was his intent, seeing as how it was in his legislative findings and intent. That's all.
Oh, okay. Yeah, in the findings and intent, but I don't believe that in the actual bill. Was that your intention to make the bill, to make the award given during Youth Month?
No.
Okay.
If
Okay.
you want to strike that out, we can. Okay, it's just findings.
So we currently have an amendment still on the floor. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none, is there anyone opposed to the amendment? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
I have actually two more amendments to make. For the title, I want to reflect an act to amend section 711 and 7112 of the chapter.
Is there anyone opposed to that amendment? Anyone who wishes to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none, motion passes.
And on page 2, line 12, section 3 enactment, change that to section 4. Okay. We're good.
So we'll move on to discussing the bill as a whole, because the last amendment, that's something that we can fix logistically. So if there's anyone else who would wish to speak on the bill as a whole? Seeing as there are none, Representative LeBang, would you like to make your closing statements?
Fellow colleagues, Mr. Speaker, with this bill, I think we can have the selection process be, I don't know what the word to say, to be efficient and less time consuming for us, because we only meet outside of our time, I would say, and once a month. So I think with this bill, we would have more alleyway of selecting people to be recognized as excellent youth leader. That's all. Thank you.
Could I get a motion to place this bill into third reading file?
Mr. Speaker, I make a motion to move it to third reading file.
Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Is there any, we are still in motions. Are there any other motions? Representative LeBang, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move to place Resolution 17-31 to third reading file, second reading file.
There's been a motion to place Resolution 17-31 in the second reading file for discussion. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. You can make your opening statements.
With this resolution, I'm just voicing out my constituents' response on the presidential search that UOG is currently having right now. There's two petitions that went on, and they're citing the section 16110B1 of Chapter 16, Title 17, Guam Code annotated. With this provision of the law, it states that a requirement for a president of UOG have an adequate, satisfy our knowledge and understanding of the people of Guam and Micronesia. We all know that the controversy is that there is no internal candidate, but since one of the candidates withdrawn, two more were listed, which includes Dr. Anita Borja Enriquez, which is an internal candidate. Anyway, since the controversy is kind of eased down, I would say with this resolution, we can still remind the Board of Regents of this provision of the law. And with the first petition, I think it's more time consuming than the second, so I will go supporting the second than the first. That's all.
Thank you, Representative LeBang. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on the resolution? Representative Quintanilla, you're recognized.
I am unfamiliar with the controversy that's being referred to in this resolution, and therefore I'm incapable of understanding the intent of this resolution and the events that it is responding to. I have not been keeping up with the news lately, so I don't understand what is going on. Could I get any sort of explanation, Cliff Notes version or otherwise?
Is this a question to the sponsor?
I think, yes, I'll rephrase it as a question to the sponsor. If we could please.
Representative LeBang, will you yield?
Yes. Could you possibly give me an overview of the controversy you're referring to?
Oh, I don't want to name anyone on this resolution, that's why. So like the news cycle is talking about Dr. Harmid Shirvani from a different institution, and like he's one of the three original candidates, but like since he backed out, they added two more to the list, so I don't know.
What are their names?
Of
the candidates we currently have?
Okay, so
You can just their names.
There's 4 candidates right now. First one is Dr. Bruce Murphy, Dr. Ronald Larson.
Representative LeBang, I have a question for you in regards to the resolve clause of the bill, or the resolution. Is this resolution seeking to state that the Youth Congress does not believe that the current change resolves the issues that are mentioned in are the issues that happened with the previous round of candidates?
I think the changes, I think, is satisfied, but like I wrote this one like far away before they made the changes, and I did not make the amendments for this.
If there's any amendments you want to make, we can make the proper amendments. My only problem is that the resolved clause is a little bit unclear as to the type of action we're asking the Board of Regents to make. So,
You want to make an amendment? You want to make an amendment? I don't want to call for recess.
Okay. Oh, I'm done.
okay.
That'll be on.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion for a short recess so we
Oh.
can discuss this.
All right. We're now in recess. Session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby called back in order. Representative LeBang, you still have the floor.
Mr. Speaker, I want to make an amendment on page 1 to strike out lines 11 to 14.
There's an amendment to strike, I'm sorry, what lines?
The reason behind this amendment is because the person implying on this clause is withdrawn from the search process and he's not a candidate anymore.
Okay. Could you repeat the amendment?
Strike out on page 1, strike out lines 11 through 14.
All right, there's an amendment to strike out lines 11 to 14. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are not, is there anyone else who would wish to speak on the amendment? Representative Cantinita, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to propose an amendment.
No, wait. We're still on the current amendment to strike lines 11 to 14. Is there anyone who would wish to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none opposed, motion passed. Is there any other amendments? Representative Cantinita, you're recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to propose an amendment to amend line 11, page 1 to read, whereas several of the current candidates of the position of President of the University of Guam do not originate from Guam, and for that reason there is concern that such individuals may lack satisfactory knowledge and understanding of the people of Guam and Micronesia.
All right, the amendments being passed around. Everyone can take a look at that. I'll give you guys some time, and then if anyone has any objections to the amendment. Is there anyone who is unclear or would like to clarify the amendment? Line 17. Representative Valencia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to amend the amendment
Okay.
to put in quotation knowledge and understanding of the people of Guam and Micronesia.
Because that's a quote
Yeah.
from the Guam Code annotated.
And
Okay.
Then, yeah, and then after that, as per section 16110B1 of Chapter 16, Title 17, Guam Code annotated.
Okay, there's an amendment to the amendment to cite section 16110B1 of Chapter 16, Title 17. Is there anyone opposed to that amendment? Seeing as there are none, the amendment to the amendment passes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Speaking on the amendment, is there anyone who opposes? Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this current amendment? Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, the amendment passes. Representative Cantinita, you still have the floor.
I would like to propose an amendment to line 17, page 2, to read, resolve that Imenta Trentai, Imenta Trentai Unu Congression Manoban Guam does hereby call the attention of the University of Guam Board of Regents to resolve the issue of unqualified candidates regarding the University of Guam presidential search internally, and be it further.
There is an amendment to add of unqualified candidates to line 17 of page 2. After issue, is there anyone who wishes to speak on this resolution? Speak on this amendment? Anybody opposed? Or is that speaker opposed? Oh, okay. You may speak.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I guess I'd like to pose a question. What do we mean by unqualified in this case? Are we basing it solely on that particular subsection of 16110, which is B1 of Chapter 16, Title 17, Guam Code annotated? I'd like to pose that to the author of the amendment. If that's-
Representative Quintaniza, do you yield?
Yes.
So, would you like to answer the question?
Yes, it is based on amendment number 1, on the amendment I proposed. I can amend the amendment to read the issue of candidate qualification, potential candidate, or potentially unqualified candidates.
Potentially. Would that amendment satisfy your question?
I guess so, yes, as Mr. Speaker. Thank you to the author of the amendment.
Yes.
I'm just worried because that's not the only qualification for the position of president. And I mean, it's really, we're not the ones who decide who's qualified or not. There is a Board of Regents and there is a presidential search committee. And also there's a consulting firm, so I'm not too...
I'm sorry, could you speak closer to the mic?
Sorry. I just wanted to call attention to the fact that we're basing it solely on like one specific subsection of the code. And it feels like we're deciding who's unqualified, or we're deciding who's qualified or unqualified when there is a Board of Regents and there's a presidential search committee and there's a consulting firm. So I just wanted to point that out to the body. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Valencia. Is there anyone else who would wish to speak on the amendment? Seeing as there are none, was that a question? Wait. Yeah, so seeing as there's an amendment to the amendment, I'm sorry. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on the amendment to the amendment? Anyone opposed? All in favor? Seeing as there are none opposed, the motion passes. Moving on to the amendment itself, is there anyone else who would wish to speak on the amendment? Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none opposed, the amendment passes. Moving on to the resolution at large, is there anyone else who would wish to speak on the resolution? Representative Richards, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd just like to acknowledge Representative Valencia's concerns, but I think it's also important that even though it's only one of the requirements, it's still a requirement that needs to be met. And it's also a very important one, I think, for not only the Board of Regents to consider, but it's an important requirement for the students of the university and for the people of Guam, that the president of the University of Guam at least have knowledge, even if they're not from Guam, but understand the people. And I think that would directly affect the morale of the university and the community if their president doesn't understand them on that level. So I think this is a very important requirement. Thank you.
I'd also like to point out for clarification that I don't believe that it's directly the Board of Regents' responsibility to appoint them. I believe there's a separate nominating group that nominated these candidates. So yes, the Board of Regents does have the responsibility over the university as a whole, but I don't believe that they were the ones who selected the candidates. So with that being said, is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the resolution? Seeing as there are none, Representative LeBang, you can make your closing statements.
As concerns for the students of the University of Guam, community members of the University of Guam as well, as a representative here in the Guami Congress, I think it's my duty to address their issues and concerns over the search of the president. I would like to thank Representative Quintaniza for making the amendments, and I move the resolution to third reading file.
There's been a motion to move this resolution to the third reading file. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. And with that, we've exhausted our agenda. Could I get, moving on to second roll call? Representative Richards, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to make a motion that second roll call reflect first roll call.
Is there anyone opposed? Seeing as there are none, motion passes. Moving on to third reading file. Could I get the third reading of the items we discussed on the agenda today?
Bill number 23-31, as amended on the floor, introduced by Al Edrich C. LeBang. An act to amend section 7111 and 7112 of Chapter 7, Title 2, Guam Code Annotated, relative to the Excellence in Youth Leadership Award.
Roll call.
Representative Blas. Representative Blas, aye. Representative Felisan. Representative Felisan, aye. Representative LeBang. Representative LeBang, aye. Representative Lorenzo. Representative Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace. Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Quintaniza. Representative Quintaniza, aye. Representative Richards. Representative Richards, aye. Speaker Santos.
Aye.
Speaker Santos, aye. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia, aye.
With a vote of 9 ayes and 0 nays, bill number 23-31 hereby passes. Moving on to resolution number 17.
Resolution number 17-31, as amended on the floor, introduced by Al Edrich C. LeBang, Javen W. Santos, Joseph Casilla, relative to urging the University of Guam UOG Board of Regents to take action regarding the UOG presidential search.
Can I get roll call?
Representative Blas. Representative Blas, aye. Representative Felisan. Representative Felisan, aye. Representative LeBang. Representative LeBang, aye. Representative Lorenzo. Representative Lorenzo, aye. Representative Makepeace. Representative Makepeace, aye. Representative Quintaniza. Representative Quintaniza, aye. Representative Richards. Representative Richards, pass. Speaker Santos.
Aye.
Speaker Santos, aye. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia, pass. Representative Richards. Representative Richards, aye. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia, pass. Representative Valencia. Representative Valencia, aye.
With the vote of 9 ayes and no nays, Resolution 17-31 hereby passes. And with that, we have exhausted our agenda today. Moving on to brief extension of remarks. Is there anyone who would like to just comment on the matters we've discussed today? Seeing as there are none, moving on to announcements. Does anyone have any announcements? Representative Quintanilla, you're recognized.
I would like to announce that on June 18th, I will be flying to San Diego on family matters, and I will be appointing Abriana Cruz to attend the Commission on Decolonization meetings in my place.
Okay, we can discuss that later, but thank you. Is there anyone else who has any other announcements? Representative LeBang.
I just want to congratulate the class of 2018. Representative Davin Felicia is one of them. Jane Angara, Kenny McDonald, and Joshua DeChoso.
Yay! Thank you. Are there any other announcements? I have a few, but can we start? Would you guys like to? We currently have the chairperson for the Education Committee unfilled. Would you guys like to fill that position now? Or would you guys like to have nominations and voting right now? Is there anyone opposed to that? Seeing as there are none, we can take nominations now if you guys would like. Yeah, well, we're taking nominations now. Would anyone like to nominate anybody for that position? Representative Valencia? Representative Felician, do you accept your nomination? The Education and Youth Affairs Committee as the chairperson. Oh, yeah, that's true. I mean, you can, technically, Representative Felician serves until school starts up again. So he'll be here till August, so he can fulfill that position within. Okay. So does that mean you reject the nomination? Okay. So Representative Felician does not accept the nomination. Is there any other nominations? I know, I know. If any core member wants to run, I guess we can consolidate it into your committee. That would just be one person off from quorum for the committee itself. But is there anyone who would like to nominate anybody? I guess if there's no nominations, we'll have to keep the position open till the next session. Okay. So we'll be accepting nominations all the way up until next session, and we'll discuss it more then. In terms of other announcements, I'd just like to update everybody on the Excellence of Youth Leadership Award. We're working on not only the nomination process, but organizing the actual awards and the selection process. Since we have gotten a pool of nominations, we would just like to keep it open till July, and we anticipate actually giving the award during July session. Or not during July session, but on the night of, but that's pending organization with our committee, or our chair oversight in the legislature, and with the legislature itself. So we're still working on it. Just keep active on the WhatsApp group, and we'll send updates there. Also, this session we organized. would just like to thank Representative LeBang for helping me out by calling everybody to confirm that we have quorum for this session. But I would like to ask that you guys stay active, just monitor the WhatsApp group, so that when we call to get a count for quorum in the future, we'll be able to just confirm through the WhatsApp group, and we won't have to make those calls. If there's anyone else, or if no one has any other announcements, could I get a motion to adjourn? Representative Valencia? Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this session, subject to the call of the Speaker.
Seeing as there are no objections, with that, session for the 31st Guam Youth Congress is hereby adjourned.